what do you guys have been in the roofing business for some time, right? What do you guys see that, whether it's an owner operator or they're running four crews, right, and doing $10 million, what do you see as one of the things that are most undervalued from like the ownership perspective within roofing?
Something I've learned is like find out like what is the thing that you're really really good at. Like you as the owner of the company have things that are your high leverage activities and things that are your lower leverage activities. And that's not to say that those things aren't important, those other things. But like for me, if I'm spending all my time at a build all day and I'm making sure that the crews are popping lines and doing stuff like that, that's not to diminish the job of the person that's doing that. But you as the business owner need to be taking care of the higher leverage activities. And for me, it's been like such a relief and such a like just to be able to delegate some of those things of like there's this pride of like I can do this better than anyone else or whatever, right? And even things that you're good at, like I feel like I'm pretty good at like with business development and marketing. But like for me, even just delegating those tasks of like I can get someone who's really good at those things. I can get someone who's just a killer field supervisor. I can get someone who's a killer salesperson where I'm like, hey, I'm 80% good at all these things, and so together I can run a company. But instead it's like, okay, let's focus on the actual running the company. Let's focus on scaling, because that's the thing as the business owner or the person leading the business that you need to be able to do. And then having the humility to be able to delegate those things to someone, even if they're just 80% as good as you are. I think it was Craig Rochelle that said, or John Maxwell that said, like, if someone can do it 80% as good as you can, then delegate that.
So leadership, creating the right culture to want to work for the company. Like, I've worked with some companies over the years, and not fun to work there. We make the environment that we have is, do the best you can. We're going to work with you, and we're going to help you become better, and we're going to do this as a team. We have a great team mentality. We use Slack. Everybody, a lot of people are using Slack nowadays for our sales guys. They're posting sales, and they're talking trash to each other, but in a fun, jovial way, and it makes our environment, it makes our sales meetings dynamite and a blast. So you have to build, and then they become willing to build your brand as well and build their brand within your company. And then you start to grow. We've grown 30% year after year the last 3 years in a row because we have the right culture. It has nothing to do with me or John. It has to do with John and all of us together, but it's not one individual. And like he said, you have to be willing to let go and realize that people, like you said, can be way better at you. And I see it in my life. There's a lot of my employees are way better at certain things. I maybe excel here, but they excel here. And that's the kind of the team that we've put together. And that's what you have to be able to do to grow, is find people that are better than you in certain areas and build from there.
You said branding too. I want to hear a little bit. Why do you think that's undervalued?
Oh, it's totally undervalued. You have to, if you don't become the authority. I mean, when you look at a company like a Monarch, everything they do is branding. Like they are known locally in their area as the roofer because they've branded the daylights out of that. So that's the process we're in now. And you have to do that through marketing. You have to get out there. You have to do all different forms of marketing. We're on TV now, radio. You have to get yourself out there, which I hate. I hate it. I hate this. I hate being on camera and all that stuff. But you have to get yourself out there to build your brand, because if you don't, then you'll be left behind.
Most roofing companies are thinking about lead generation. From your point of view, if you say branding is undervalued, what's the difference between those two?
A perfect example is billboards. You're not getting phone calls off of billboards, but that's just another spot they see you, and then they see you here, and then they see you there, and then they see you here. So it's all this marketing, all this branding you're doing together creates an impression in a person's brain to say, oh, I see that guy on TV, or I see him on a billboard, I see it here. You have to continue to brand.
Why are roofing companies like, and I know it's a budget thing usually.
It's a budget thing, yeah.
But
you have to be willing be willing to spend that.
Yeah.
So
why do you get over that?
When we talk to a lot of companies here that are in more storm markets, they don't spend nearly the money that we spend on marketing. our budget, like we were talking about earlier, it's 6.5% right now, is our marketing budget. Next year, we're actually going to crank that up a little bit and get after a little bit more because we want to grow again next year. But you have to just continue. You have to put the money back in to build your brand.
I think it's important because if you go into something like traditional media, like TV, radio, with the right expectation, like you have to be willing, in my opinion, again, just a marketing guy, but if you're a year one company and you're projecting to do 1.2 million, is it the best investment of your marketing advertising dollars to go to a billboard?
No.
Probably not, right?
No.
Because people, like Ty said, they're not going out and looking for a billboard when they need a
You
roof.
got to go for a lead gen at that point. I mean,
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, ultimately, I agree a lot
Yes.
about
Yeah.
the whole. Like, I believe
So
more into branding you get, the cheaper lead generation.
100%.
So we have a fun catchphrase with our company, and that catchphrase, everybody says it, everybody knows it. I'll get stopped in a mall, I'll get stopped walking down the street, or a lady told me the other day she wakes up every morning, has coffee with me. So we adapt our commercials. We just made a new commercial, and I'm sitting in my living room with a cup of coffee saying, hey, Pittsburgh, we're excited to have our cup of coffee with this morning. And then, so we build off that, and we have fun with it now because we have the right people in place to do
I
that.
love the idea of, like, when you hear something more than once from a customer, like stuff on reviews that's on there like 5 times, using that in your copy and your slogans and stuff like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I
We
got
do
a
this
question.
every single day.
Yeah.
Every single
Hey,
day.
is that you or the Roof Dawn? Because there's a rapper that has.
Yeah, so we have a
You
trademark
had that
on that.
originally?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You knew that song, so you should legally own that song.
We've been contacted.
So, your point about culture, and I'm a firm believer in culture. I worked for a company and I made a lot of money, and I left because I didn't like the culture. Right, it got to the point where the money didn't matter. So, did you have?
They
Was
didn't
there,
allow these shorts or.
chill, bro.
Yeah.
This guy. So, was this something that's always been at the forefront of your mind? Was there an aha moment? Like, what kind of made you value culture the way that you do now?
We've always had good culture from day one. Just smaller groups with good culture. So when you get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's hard to keep that culture because now you have all these extra people in there. We hired a guy, John Brose, and now he's my partner. He's absolutely dynamite. But he came into the company and didn't get rid of anybody because he loved our culture, and then we've just built on that, looking for the same types of people. Jen Silver teaches that the disc training. She calls it something different, but she teaches that you have to know who you're hiring to get the right personality to make sure that they gel with your company, because one bad egg can really upset the cart, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you have any more? Sorry.
No, well, I was gonna say. So when we were recently at an event, and there was a gentleman who, he had somebody who didn't fit into their culture any longer. They did it one time, didn't any longer. How important is it to address that? How quickly do you address that? When do you go from like being understanding to getting rid of the bad egg? Right?
Yeah, very difficult. We were talking about that, Hunter and I, on the panel this morning. That's the toughest thing in business is firing somebody. So, man, that's tough. I have been derelict of duty in that. I've let people stay a lot longer than they should have stayed, and it's hurt in some instances. Not terribly, but it's hard to do because you get to know their families, you get to know them, and you like them as a person, but they're not good for your business. That's a very difficult. There's a fine line there, and I don't have the answer for that because I'm not good at it. Yeah, that's tough.
Extreme ownership, guys. Own your shit. Like, be like Ty. Right?
No, he's a very good leader. I mean, like, I can tell.
But we keep it fun. We keep everybody on track, and it works out nice.
Thing, I've heard that before because people like.
Yeah, and we don't hire anybody.
Competitive and stuff
Nobody with any previous roofing
You
experience.
wouldn't even accept it?
We don't. I mean, we might interview him if it's the right guy, but we've only hired one ever that had any roofing experience, and he only had a few months. But we keep guys out of the industry because we want to train them the way that we want to train them. We don't want any bad habits coming into the business.
Diego, because that question about people being things are undervalued, because you've got a little bit fresher perspective. You're new to this, like, you are experiencing
to this side, yeah.
as a CEO, as a leader of a company for the first time a little bit. So what do you think is undervalued based on what you maybe thought going into this 6, 7, 8 months ago versus what it is now? Like, what would you say you didn't know you were going to need so much?
I mean, I feel like I need more hours in the day, first of all, but
Hey, that's to Mike's point.
I mean, I think in general, having a structure that you follow. We were talking a little bit earlier about like running on EOS for us right now, and regardless if it's like EOS or 12-week year or something like that, where you can, you know, you're able to identify problems and get them solved in a quick manner. So it's not, you're able to get to the next level and you're able to resolve issues and they don't just stick around forever. And you're able to see the vision of like where you're headed.
I was going to say, why are more roofing companies not on EOS and Traction? If you had to guess, because there's it's like 1 out of 10.
Well, it's like either you got to hire an implementer and pay a lot of money, and it's just not feasible, or B, people just don't take the time to educate themselves enough to be able to implement it themselves. And I think there's a lot of people who are just really high visionary in the industry, or just in entrepreneurship in general, and just needing to be more on the integrator side, where I feel like I'm kind of on the weird side where like I'm more integrator than visionary. So coming in and just saying, all right, here's the problems. Here's the, like, let's make a giant list of problems. All right, now we're scheduling everything out. This is when everything's getting fixed. And then just being able to delegate everything.
Yeah,
it takes time. It takes time to implement. So, I mean, we probably went through a 2.5-year process of getting everything that we have implemented into place, and we did other things that didn't pan out, and we got rid of those things, and we tried other things. So I did feel bad for my sales guys and the team for a while there, because we were trying so many different things over a few-year period that it got to be like, seriously, another new thing. But now that we've tried, failed, and tried and made it better, now we have all these systems and processes in place that right now I don't know that we're missing much of anything for our business to now grow to where we want to grow to.
Diego, I got a question for you. So I saw in a previous interview that you said that in your experience previously, a lot of what you did was you were a department of one, kind of like a lone soldier is what it sounded like to me. Did I hear you right? So now bringing yourself in the position of being CEO and having to delegate and understanding the importance of it, did you struggle with that initially?
I'm still trying to figure that out. It's all like, because I look at guys, like him, like Hunter, like all these people, and it's like, all right, I try to surround myself with people who are, leading bigger companies, and like, I'm in a group with multiple groups of other entrepreneurs where like, and I'm not shy about asking questions. Anything that I need help with, I try to look at who's already made these mistakes, because I need to be able to shorten the gap of like, how do I get from here to here, and just shorten it as much as possible. So I think that's one thing that I we may have talked about this before, of like having the humility to realize I don't know everything. So where are the people that know those things? How do I put myself into those situations? Coming to events like this, like I try to come to as many events as possible and just put myself where those people are. And but also give back to the other people that that are coming up also.
Yeah.
You need to get to events.
Yeah.
You got to get to these events. I've been to tons of events. We're doing the Ugly Roof Train right now and trying to get that going. So I'm at all these events. But over the years, I've been to lots of events, and you always take away something, and you're like, man, I need to implement that. Even if it's a simple, I took one thing away. This week, even if it's just something simple that you can try in your business and it's successful, that's just another added bonus to your business. And these shows are invaluable to learn. I mean, we hired a guy from this show for our tax consulting. He's a mastermind. So there's just lots of different things that you can always pick out of these shows, and they're very beneficial.
And then like networking
stuff in between,
Oh, That's more valuable than anything. Sitting down inside, you pick up tidbits, but talking to you and talking to you and talking to other people, you go sit out back and you're at the end of the night and have a beer at the bar, and you learn way more than just having nice normal conversations with people. Those conversations are invaluable.